All right, so I want to go through a couple of the systems. You guys can hopefully see the Visita platform that I've got up and running right now on the screen. I want to go through kind of what's happening in the background. Some of you have been using this. Some of you may want to know what the proper way to maybe respond to certain things or how I respond. And I also want to show you some of the ZipRecruiter side so you guys can see how we can adjust and change kind of where the jobs are being posted and what thought goes into kind of where we pick and choose. Some of these locations that we choose to job post in end up being great and they get good replies. Others are not so good and we got to change strategy. So it'll be kind of helpful for us if you stay connected with us on how things are going in a certain region. So I just want to show you, I left these up for on purpose. There are some requests in here for meetings. I want to show you kind of what it is that you'll see different people. I mean, Chris, you'll see a lot of Chris and a lot of me because we have more jobs posted. We pay for more jobs than what you guys do. We've got, I think, 10 each versus, and you guys are welcome to have more. It's just a matter of you got to pay for, more jobs. That's all. So I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like. And as the owner behind the scenes of Visita, I have the ability to kind of see what's going on and make sure you guys aren't losing meetings. So anytime I see a meeting that hasn't been, and I'm in here on this Todd browser, which is who we just spoke about. This one was just recently accepted because I asked, Chris asked me if I could be on this call at 10:30. So I can see what's going on with items that are being accepted or hasn't been accepted yet. So anytime, and this is just my process, anytime I come in here and I see a person like, for instance, this Nick Ashley, which is actually through Chris's side. Anytime I see someone,
also would like you to be on that one too.
Okay. Anytime I see someone that shares a document that hasn't set a meeting yet, and I'll go back out here and I'll show you what I mean on some of these, okay? Scroll down here. Let me see this guy. Okay, here's a good example. I have no idea how to say this guy's name. Hasmook. I don't know. Anyways, Dave Hasmook. I can see in here, if you go in here and you click on his information, you can see that he's filled out the information on the right. You'll see that there's no appointment scheduled here at all. You'll see that he has uploaded his resume and that I haven't said anything back yet. So anytime I get someone's resume, if you go to the landing page, and I'll show you this on the landing page, if you go to, and by the way, your landing page is going to be, you'll see overview.colburnfinancial. Your landing page is overview.yourlastname.colburnfinancial. That's the overview. And the only one that I messed up a little bit on is Shep's landing page, which I'm going to eventually correct. They spelled his name wrong, which is kind of funny. His landing page is a little different. But anyway, so everyone's landing page looks the same. It's identical. Everyone's the same. You'll see down here you've got this schedule now button and the upload. Sometimes what happens is they will end up watching the overview or they may not watch it. Sometimes people just look at it and they go, okay, I'm going to upload my resume. And when they do that, when they upload the resume without scheduling an appointment, it shows up like this gentleman. Okay. So his resume's here. He hasn't scheduled a meeting. He hasn't requested a meeting. So my response, and again, Chris might do something a little bit different, but my response, and you'll see it in here, I do the same thing and I go through and I copy, let me scroll down. I find the one right here. So here's one. Thank you for your interest. Please schedule the introductory interview by following the link. Now, if you guys want a link, okay, you can ask me. Everyone has a specific link that if you click on it, it takes them directly to your scheduling page. So on this particular one, come on, computer, you'll see here that this is my name. It shows my calendar. It shows everything blocked off. So what I do in these is I will just copy this particular conversation and I'll say, hey, thank you for your interest. Please schedule the introductory interview. Again, this is only for people that can't follow directions because this is step 2. They're not supposed to send me a resume until they've scheduled the actual interview. But in those situations, I would copy it and let's see. In this, where is the guy? Hold on. I have to find him because I just lost him. So this one down here, I would just copy it down here and hit send. So I'm done. So if someone does, so that's one thing that I want you guys to be aware of is when people upload a resume, if they don't schedule the meeting, make sure that you're corresponding with them. You don't have to say what I'm saying, okay? But you can make it your own if you want. But this is what I say. I just say, thank you for your interest. You could say, thank you for uploading your resume, whatever you want. Please schedule the introductory interview by following the link. Now, if you want a link to your calendar, you're going to have to ask me for it. That's fine. I can get one. Everyone has one. I can get it for you. It's totally fine. Just let me know. So that's the first thing I want you guys to be aware of. The other thing I want you to be aware of is making sure that you stay very, very, very up to date on what's happening in your back office. So this is my data, okay? This is the entire team's data. And anytime there is required attention, that means someone in the agency, someone that's in Visita hasn't finished something that needs to be done. So these items here, you'll see there are appointment requests, and I purposely left them here so that you guys could see what I do for these. It's not complicated. So I'm going to go through and click on this individual. They filled out the form. This guy is actually from Grand Rapids. You can see that. I'm trying to hit up Michigan because I used to live there, so I've got some connection there. And it's really basic. Someone schedules or requests. All you got to do is hit accept if you like it. This is Monday at 4:30. If I go to my calendar, give me a second here. If I go to my calendar, I can look at Monday. Monday at 4:30, I have time. Okay, I just want to make sure it's not going to mess anything up. So I have the time. So I'm going to go back here and type something in here. Looking forward to our conversation. I hope you have a great weekend. Now, do you have to type anything here? No, you don't have to. This is if you want to add your own personal touch. Sometimes people will put in here, or sometimes I will put, please make sure that you watch the, oh my word, I can't type, corporate overview at, and then you can put your overview. Okay. So sometimes people put that, you may not want to, it's up to you, whatever you want to put in here. I constantly want to remind them to make sure that they're watching the overview. It's not so important that they watch it before the introductory interview. It is extremely important that they watch it in between the introductory and the second interview. Now, I just had an interview with a guy this morning. The guy had never watched the overview. Literally, he's like, I'm sorry, I applied at a couple places and I can't remember. You know, I can't really remember anything that was. What do you guys do? So you want to make sure that they at least watch it. It gives them a good idea of what we do and how we do it. Okay. So I'm going to accept that appointment. You'll see I go back to my inbox. There's one less thing for me to do. I'm going to come in here. Tyler Roten. This guy is also from, let's see, this guy's from Utah. $300,000 income. Monday at 2:00. That should work as well. So I'm going to accept that. I'm not going to type anything in that time. Again, I'm just showing you how to do some of this. Another one, Brian Still. This one's Tuesday, so I'll need to check Tuesday's calendar, 10:15. It's going to be close. I've got a 10:30. This is an introductory, so I can do, let me do a 10 o'clock. So that'll give me more time, and I'll hit accept. Now, again, guys, I want to point this out. We talked about this before, but anytime these icons pop up on the right side, I always like to kind of Facebook stalk them. Make sure, look at that. This guy is a pastor, so that's kind of cool. Brian Still. So, and he apparently loves America, which is awesome. So I just want you guys paying attention to what pops in, and notice that in your emails as well, you'll see what happens inside of your email. When you schedule a meeting, it will tell you, you'll get an email that says, such and such was scheduled, such and such was scheduled, such and such was scheduled. This document was uploaded. I just got a document uploaded from a guy that's, again, apparently hasn't scheduled a meeting yet or requested one, but here's, I believe I would be an excellent fit for your company. 15 years experience, sales, marketing, management, Thomas Rabbit. So make sure you're staying up to date on everything, because if it goes past the deadline, the opportunity is going to expire, the appointment's going to expire, and you guys will miss out on certain items. Try not to make it a practice to reschedule the meeting, the initial meeting, and request them to confirm it, because you'll end up having items just kind of sit there. They won't confirm it. Just schedule it. If they've got 3 dates or 3 times, pick one of those, make sure it fits, accept it, move on. If they miss the meeting, it's a 15-minute introductory interview. If they miss it, you can always do a follow-up, have them rescheduled. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you reschedule an initial introductory interview because of something happening and you expect them to confirm it, usually I would say 80% of the time, they're not going to. They're not going to remember to. They're going to miss it. So
yeah, I mean, I frankly, I was trying to not butt in, but I would say, guys, if you have people who can't follow the steps in the initial just appointment setting aspect, and they contact you maybe directly, something like that, it's not a great sign, because it's just very simple and straightforward. And then if they miss an interview, also not a great sign. So I would not get in the habit of chasing those people down.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I actually one step further, and I maybe you were going here, Chris. One step further, if they can't follow, you guys got to remember, while you're growing an agency, you also want to preserve the culture. I had
exactly what I was going to say.
I had 2 really good conversations. I had one right before I was speaking with Jeffrey earlier this morning, that with a guy out of Atlanta that applauded me. He said, I've done the research. I've looked. You guys are very unique. I've interacted with people through Symmetry. Nothing wrong with that, but you guys are very unique. You're building this very differently. You know what you want. You have a direction where you're headed. It's very professional. He kept applauding, and it wasn't to stroke my ego. It was literally, this is what I'm looking for. So make sure that you don't, as you interview and as you involve yourself in the system, make sure you're holding the culture very high. And we do not want to bring people into this culture for the sake of hiring. We want to bring them on for the sake of growing the culture. That's what we want.
So Mike, 100%. Can I ask?
That's exactly what I was going to say is, guys, you're not in a position of weakness where you have to hire for the sake of hiring, like so many other financial institutions do, where they are forced to just throw as many people in, and they're not able to fix the system because they're just constantly bailing out water. This is a leveraged system, and you keep it high. You spend time with people that you are excited about, that bring enhancement to the career and the company. don't get in a trap of feeling like you need to hire people just to hire people. Or like we were saying before we started recording the call, and Jeff was talking about this guy with a big ego. You know what? He may be able to bring in a high level of success, but it's not going to be a fit with us because that huge ego is never going to work. You know, Mike and I, Brett McDermott, for example, exact same conversation that we had with him. Like you were saying, the person in Atlanta just applauded us for professionalizing this and making it so simplistic to put people into a system.
Yeah, and it'll
this
save
is a guy who
a lot of headache.
200 a week. Yeah.
Yep. It'll save you guys a lot of headache. Go ahead.
Isn't that the purpose of the first 15 minutes, is really to get a feel for who they are and where they're coming from, so we don't get that second interview and go any further?
That is correct. And you will see flags along the way. You know, if people can't, it's funny, we try to shirk the system, but Chris and I haven't been able to really do it. There's people that just can't follow the process. They just can't, for whatever reason, they can't, you know, you'll hear it. Like, for instance, Jeffrey, like we were talking about this guy, I don't want to start at 60%. Not a good fit, because that means you think you're better than the system. And when you think you're better than the system, while you might do very well, you're going to be a huge headache. And so, yes, that's the purpose of the first initial. I rarely talk. In fact, all of my conversations this morning had nothing to do with our process, how we bring on clients. It had nothing to do with the system. It had everything to do with, what are you looking for? What intrigued you? Why would you be a good fit? Let me explain where we are, why we're at where we're at, what we're looking to do. And if it makes sense, we'll have a detailed conversation. And I had a guy this morning even ask me some details. And I said, I want to answer those, but I'm going to push it off to the next meeting because I want to do it justice. I want to make sure that we are digging into that at the appropriate time, not ahead of schedule. Does that help answer, Ron, kind of what you're?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's, you know, and in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, you know, everybody keeps saying, don't judge people to bring them in, let them self-select. But at the same time, those are the people you want them to fit in our culture first. And then if they're not going to do the work, then they'll self-select after they come in.
People will self-select, but they will they will shoot themselves in the foot. Just don't. What we're trying to say is, don't see something in another person that isn't there.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would disagree with that to some extent. Yeah, they will self-select out, but you should like the person on the call, and I mean, like you should genuinely want to talk to them, spend time with them, have a drink with them, that type of person, because as you know, we spend so much time communicating with each other that it is not worth it having some person in that's a big hitter who's just a jerk. Well, it's going to be detrimental to you. It's going to be detrimental to the team. And that is going, again, our chief strategic initiative, which is bringing in high quality, high character individuals.
Right.
If you don't enjoy the person, you're not really going to give them the support that we promise. And that is that everyone succeeds here. We all pull around and support you. The reality is you can't fulfill that promise if you don't enjoy the person, even if they're good.
Okay.
So no, that those are all good. And that is the challenge of recruiting. I mean, everyone's a little different. So we're not saying that there's one way to do it. We just want you to keep these things in the back of your mind while you're having these conversations, because early recruiting generally has a mentality of everyone can come in. And it's fine to have conversations with everyone. We want everyone to have an opportunity, but we also want to make sure that they really are a good fit. And really all we're talking about is culture, character, follow through, commitment. It doesn't matter if you know what we're doing and how we do it and the ins and outs. And we don't care about your previous experience necessarily. We just want to see some initiative, some proactiveness of taking initiative on certain things. If people aren't following the system, that says something. It says, they can't listen. They can't do what it is that they're being asked to do. And that can be a problem in the future. That's why we have the system built out the way we do.
Right. I mean, I very, very clearly try and ask them what they're looking for and hope that they will in turn ask me what I'm looking for. And I don't give them a ton of specifics, But I talk about just general character traits, and I say I want a person that has a high quality of character and integrity, self-respect. I want someone who takes initiative, and I want someone who's receptive to coaching. You don't have to answer whether you are or are not that, but I don't work with people who aren't. I just flat refuse to work with people who are not those characteristics. And that's pretty much where I leave it. And I think that's true, though. I think every person on my team that has success, they embody that.
Yep. So, okay. So I think all of that's really good. I want to make sure that you guys are aware of, before we kind of move into some other stuff, I want to make sure that you guys are, again, aware of, number one, your landing page. Make sure that you know your landing page. Overview.dilbert.colburnfinancial.com, overview.clark. Okay. Jeffrey, when you jump on board of this, it's going to be overview.brown. Again, it's all follows a very clear system. They all look the same. They're not difficult. They're very clearly pointed out. I'm not sure why some of the things aren't showing up on the screen. So they all kind of look the same. They're all modeled the same. One thing I will point out, and I will strongly urge that you encourage people to do as you bring them in, encourage them to give good reviews for Colburn Financial on Glassdoor, on Indeed, on our Facebook page. The more, because I can't tell you how many times you're going to hear people say, I looked at Symmetry, I saw what they're about, I looked at Colburn Financial. I understand the differences. I really researched what you guys do. You got really good reviews. Looks like you're an upstanding company. We want that. So anyone that comes in, we really want to encourage them to give positive reviews on anything correlated to Colburn Financial. That you guys probably, you may understand, I don't know, but that is a huge part of why we're able to attract the people that we do attract. All right. So the other thing I want to show you is, I just want to briefly show you the ZipRecruiter, what's happening behind the scenes. So this is inside of ZipRecruiter. We've got a certain number of jobs. Looks like Chris is moving some jobs around. You started up some in North Point, Fresno, and Aurora. Yeah. You got one more job available, it says.
I know. I had to leave for my meeting and I didn't get it finished. I also have,
So we've got 50, okay? We've got 50 jobs. The way it's broken out is each of you guys are paying for 5 jobs, okay? The cost of this entire thing is broken down per job, is what you're paying for, plus the Visita, plus the platform, all that stuff. So each of you have 5 specific jobs, and what we have done is we track all of what jobs you guys have. So if you want to know where your jobs are posted, we can share with you where they're posted. Here's where everyone is currently. I've got them laid out when they've been posted. So Shep's got some: Baltimore, Hartford, Cincinnati. I changed one of his actually today or yesterday. Burlington, New Jersey, Worcester, Massachusetts. Omar, we've got you in Albuquerque, Midland, Texas, Brazos, Texas, Denver. I changed one of yours because it wasn't getting a lot of hits. Denver, Colorado, San Diego, California. And I'll show how these look in the back side here. Ron, yours right now is Springfield, Massachusetts. 2 of them, one for insurance broker and regional agency manager, and then Miami, Orlando. And I changed one of yours. It wasn't getting a lot of hits to Philadelphia as well.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. Sorry, something came to mind when Mike was talking about your area, but I can talk about it later.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So we can make these adjustments. I just want you to see how you'll see inside of here, a couple of different ones, some of which we just, like I updated this one here, Bakersfield, California. It's only had, I updated it yesterday, I believe it was, and it's only had 3 visits. Some of these others, like Atlanta, obviously a much larger location, 87 visits, 22 apply clicks. You can kind of see the different spread. And we're trying to find areas that have good response, but also have good lead flow. One of the things that Chris had brought up to kind of determine location from a lead flow standpoint We look kind of at the metro area and the growth in that area from a population standpoint. So some of these are strategic. Others are kind of hit and miss. You know, we're just trying to see what we can do and what locations work best. I've had, you know, Little Rock, kind of funny. That's an area that we're trying to, man, goodness sakes, we'd like to get some solid stuff there. Not a lot of response in Little Rock. Seattle's
really
another one.
Little Rock.
Yeah, Seattle's another one that we're trying to work hard at. Omar, I know you and I have talked a little bit about your response and individuals that, you know, people that are filling out things on Visita. You know, we're seeing a little bit of response in Brazos. Not a lot in Midland. We may change that one. I don't know. You guys had talked about wanting to hire someone there in Midland. I know Brandon was looking at stuff there as well.
Yeah.
Albuquerque is tough. I really would like to have one there, but there's only 11 visits, 1 apply click. Ironically, Shep's doing really well with Burlington, New Jersey, which
he
surprising.
has the most responses, right?
Well, it's had
like
32 clicks.
Yeah.
Which is just,
I know.
Again, sometimes we run into good ones, sometimes we don't. So we have to kind of move this around. I just want you guys to be aware of, I will share this ZipRecruiter job posting file with those that that do have jobs. So if you want to make a change, or if you want to look at a certain area, guys, these are your jobs. Okay. So you can change them to wherever you want, whenever you want. We can talk about how, and we can, that's not a problem. You just got to communicate with me on kind of what needs to be changed.
And there is a strategy behind us picking the specific places. I spend a lot of time looking at this, where I look at essentially the market growth and compare that to the housing growth and new home sales, and then the average cost of a new home. And so I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what are essentially the lowest hanging fruits on the tree. Again, I think this is something that is very unique to us and Colburn Financial, as opposed to just a Symmetry agent just kind of generically trying to just hire whomever, whenever. We are very specifically trying to find peak market to penetrate.
Yep. So I just want you to be aware of kind of where everything is. You may want to look at what all the jobs pretty much say the same thing from a job post standpoint. And I can show you the regional sales manager, what it says. You can kind of preview the job here. It's all going to be pretty much the same. Once it pops up here, gives a description, why work here, responsibilities, qualification. This is the regional sales manager position in the Boise, Idaho. Actually hired, in fact, Amra, the girl that's kind of becoming active inside of Slack recently, is very excited, and she was hired through the system and through the process. She's very excited to get started. So it's got each one, it's got your name at the end, Colburn Agency. It's got all the details about Colburn Financial, what we're about. And then this is what they're talking about. When they click apply, it's going to go to the landing page. So all those clicks are how many people actually showed some interest. It doesn't mean how many people actually had interviews, some interest. Then they've got to come down and watch the video, kind of read through, kind of feel more familiar with it, click schedule, and do all that stuff. So they're pretty interested if they go through all of that process. Any questions about that, and just making sure you guys are, again, continuing to be aware of the process and the system?
So we could get with you, Mike, and just kind of go through the process and what's being posted and the actual jobs, what it looks like, and why each location is selected.
Yep. Okay. Yep. And if you want to know details and why, and part of it goes into, part of it is what Chris was saying, being strategic. The other part is also, there's a lot to say about matching personalities with regions.
Absolutely.
Ron, that's why we focused a little bit with you being on and in the Florida area, because you're there. You're there. You can resonate with people that are there. I'm here. You'll have someone close by. That's part of it. But then we've also been looking up into the Boston, Massachusetts, that Northeast side, because again, you will resonate with those people.
Right. They talk.
I would not quite as much.
Right.
And that's also why I've picked, for me, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Detroit, because my wife's family's from Detroit. I've been there. I'd go there every year or every other year. I grew up in Grand Rapids. I was born in Pontiac. I can have conversations. I like Atlanta, not just because it's a good market, but also because I used to live there. I played golf all the way around Atlanta. I can have a conversation. In fact, both of my meetings this morning were Atlanta, and I talked to them both about the course that I played at, that I won the club championship at, and they both were familiar with it. So it forms kind of a friendship, and it puts the human factor in when you match a lot of that up. So some of that is very strategic. We don't always get good hits because maybe the area isn't intrigued by the opportunity, but it's just an effort to try to match people with people.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I'm trying to think anything else that would be helpful. Let me show you one other
scheduling follow-up appointment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do. So, one thing that you guys need to be aware of, let me see if I can find it inside of here.
And while you're looking, Mike, let me ask you a quick question. I had somebody who said, you know what, I'm just completely tied up for the next couple of months. But once I get through with what I need to do, I'm really interested in this. I want to touch base then. What's the follow-up for that? I mean, we have nothing scheduled. He said, I'll give you a call in about 2 months.
Is that someone through the system?
Yeah. My first interview I had through the system.
I wouldn't, honestly, Ron, I wouldn't spend a ton of stress and energy on it, because again, you need to kind of hold everyone at some sort of human, equivalent of a nice arm's reach. Simply in that this guy,
We lost you, Chris.
View yourself as a business owner and just say,
he's gone, disappeared, shut off.
He's in and out. So should we do a email, the automatic emails, to set up a second appointment then, and just leave it there, even though it's way out?
Basically what I would do is, and I wouldn't push too hard on a guy like that, but what I would do is one of two things. We can schedule a meeting 2 months out, or I can send you a follow-up email after our conversation, and you can use that link to follow up, to actually schedule a meeting. If the guy, this is just my feeling, if the guy filled out an introductory interview for a job and then he says, I'm not really available for 2 months, part of me wants to go, why did you fill out a job interview?
Right.
Like that doesn't sit well with me, really. I mean, you're welcome to try to, I would tell you maybe we'll be hiring still in the same location in a couple of months. And if we are, you're welcome to go back through the process. But we're hiring in that area, and we may not have room in 2 months. That's kind of the direction I would tell him. And if he wants to, wait 2 months, great. If not, the ball's in your court. You know how to get a hold of me. You've got my email. You've got my stuff. If it's important to you, get a hold of me. So that's kind of, we don't do a lot of like automated follow-up. We do follow-ups from meetings, and you can see, I'm trying to find the additional, well, I'll show you through here. Hold on. Through the scheduling portal. So when they go to the website, when they get their schedule link, they're going to have the ability to schedule several different types. And so you'll see this is the initial one, 15-minute interview.
Right.
This is the full one. And when I do a follow-up, when I have an interview, like, for instance, the ones that we just did this morning, when I respond, I will often tell them, right here, follow-up. Okay. I will tell them, thank you for the introductory interview. Go ahead and book the next one by hitting the button below. Looking forward to another great conversation. I will sometimes, and I already told this guy on the phone, he's familiar with it, but I will also tell them, make sure that you pick the full 40-minute conversation. It's the Colburn Financial interview, the actual interview, not the second follow-up. It is 40 minutes. It is, it's the full interview. Then if you feel like you need to have another one, you can do a second follow-up. If you feel like you need to have an onboarding video conference where you're physically walking them through the process, that doesn't happen very often, but there are some situations where that is helpful. You can onboard them through a video conference. Any questions on that?
So when would you use the second follow-up interview then?
If they're just not ready, you have an interview, they're just not ready to really pull the trigger yet. They're not ready they need more conversation before they're interested or they're ready to pull the trigger. Then do a second interview, second follow-up.
And then, so then what's the financial interview for then?
15-minute interview.
Right.
This is the actual full first interview. This is a follow-up second interview.
Oh, so that's the first. So it's either the first one or the second one.
Yeah, so this is 15 minutes, then 40 minutes. Then if they want another one, they can do 30 minutes. It goes top to bottom. Then this is the onboarding.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
And again, if you guys need specific links, if you want specific links to each one of those on your calendar, I can get them for you. And I'll show you what needs to happen. So I come in here, create a direct link. I come in and say, like, if you want to email it to someone, it's going to schedule appointment for a specific item. Let's say your initial interview, which is this one here, for Mike or for Ron or whatever it is, next day or specific day. This is the actual link that when they go to that link, it's going to show up Ron, and it's going to be this specific interview, the full interview. So
okay.
you can use specific links if you need me to send them to you. They don't change because it as long as you use the one for next available day, it doesn't change. If you're using a specific date, then yeah, that's going to change. But if you use this one and you want a specific service, then I can give you those and you can use those in your emails and your responses. That kind of, again, that helps them go through the system. It professionalizes it. It helps coach them to where they need to be and where they need to go.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Again, it's really fairly basic. I mean, as far as making sure that you stay inside of Visita, make sure that you respond quickly when items are scheduled, that you're following up, that after you do every follow-up, you get an email. You'll get an email from Visita saying, such and such a meeting was completed. What is your follow-up? And so make sure that you're following up with every single one, even if it's an email. Thank you for your conversation. Sorry it didn't, go the way we thought, or, better luck next time I hope you find, what you're looking for. If things don't pan out, I still think, again, constantly keep at the top of mind, we're trying to professionalize everything. So make sure that you continue to keep that in front of you. Even if they don't come on board, we still want to be, obviously a positive mindset looking at people, even if you had a tough conversation with someone. Thank you for your conversation. Enjoyed talking with you. Good luck in your endeavors. Let us know if we can do anything for you in the future. Just that little additional stuff. Again, branding Colburn Financial as highly professional is a big deal and is something that helps us all recruit better. I don't have a whole lot of other.
The call.
Yeah, it was funny. You were saying something really important and then you just fell off.
I was so excited, and I'm just in the middle of Little Rock, and I didn't throw my phone, but I came close to it.
Welcome back, Chris.
Hey, Ron. What I was going to say, though, is I've actually told people that I don't think it's a good fit, but I was very polite and courteous. And no joke, they've referred applicants to me, which was, I think, just a huge, a huge stamp of approval on what it is that we're doing. So I would say that, don't be afraid to tell someone that you don't think it's a good fit and explain why, but do so in a very polite way.
And on that note, I will also say there will be times when you'll have an interview, an introductory interview, that they have not watched the overview. They have no clue what they're interviewing about. It doesn't happen very much in our system, but it does happen. And what I will tell you, the best thing you can do in those situations is tell them, out of respect for your time and my time, I'm going to send you a follow-up email. I ask that you watch the overview. I ask that you go through it with a pen and paper. Make sure you write down questions. Make sure you're familiar with what it is. That way it saves you time. It saves me time. We can both have a valued conversation to make sure this is a good partnership. I don't have a conversation. If they haven't done their work, I'm not going to go forward. Don't waste your time. But make sure, again, you're branding us as high level in everything you say and do.
So, Mike, you were saying before that the 15-minute isn't a big deal if they didn't watch the video, but the longer ones are.
Yeah.
So now are you saying something different now as far as the video?
No, like this morning, the guy I spoke to up in Grand Rapids, I asked him if he had watched the overview. Because he was like, now remind me again. He was very, very kind of didn't really know what the conversation. Remind me again what you guys, I've applied it a couple of different, and my immediate response was, did you get a chance to watch the corporate overview? No, I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to suggest that you do. Out of respect for both of our times, I'm going to ask that you watch the overview, because a lot of the questions you're going to start asking me is just you can get that in the video. That's the purpose of making sure that this is worth something for us to talk about from a business partnership standpoint. So I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to explain to him all the details of what happens on our process and how we do things when it's in the video. So it doesn't always come up, and oftentimes we don't talk in the first meeting much about it, but I can tell if someone knows what we're about or not.
Right.
And if they don't, it's more than likely they haven't watched the overview.
Okay.
Yeah, and that type of thing for me, that gets under my skin a lot, because I think it is telling of so much that's going to happen down the road. It's a person that makes exceptions. It's a person that feels that maybe the rules don't apply, or maybe they're too good for this. And so if I found out that they haven't watched the corporate overview, or they don't know who they're talking to, and I've even had people say, "What company is this again?" For me, that drives me insane, because it shows to me that they're a person who doesn't prepare for things. And if they can't prepare for their first conversation with me, what is essentially their first date, if you were to go on a first date with someone and she rolls up in sweatpants, hair, in a unshowered, messy bun, and looks terrible, I'm not going on a second date. And to me, that's what that feels like.
You should respond when they do that. You should respond, well, I thought this is for the manager position at McDonald's. Isn't that what you were applying for?
Yeah. I mean, I seriously, like, it infuriates me. And I pretty much tell them, I'm going to get, and this is literally what I say. I say, close to what Mike says, I say, out of respect for my time and your time, a lot of the initial questions that you're going to have are going to be answered in that video. And this is more of a second step interview after you've already done that initial hurdle. Please watch the video. Please, go through and try and schedule another meeting. And 99% of those people self-select out anyway. So you're not spending time with people who are going to waste your time.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
All right, I think we're pretty close to being finished with kind of the initial today. Again, just usually over the weekend, I find that a lot of times over the weekend, the majority of the people get scheduled. People are looking on the weekends, so you'll see stuff probably pop in. If you feel like you're not getting enough traffic with the 5 jobs, you should, just so you guys know, with 5 jobs. Chris, don't you think there should be about 3 to 6 a week? Isn't that a fair assessment?
Oh, yeah, I would say at least. And I mean, the reality is the best times to have jobs start hitting your calendar when you see the most activity is Monday morning and Friday afternoon. because it is when a person is contemplating how unhappy they are with their current position. Monday morning, they go in, ugh, this job sucks, I hate it here. So or Friday afternoon, they can't wait to get out of there, and they're just looking at other opportunities. So that's when you're going to see the most stuff start happening, is Friday afternoon, Monday morning.
Chris?
Yeah.
That is so true with me.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's the reality. It's the way the system works. I love it.
The Monday morning traffic is clearly the most, far and away.
Yes. I'm excited. This is all very, very exciting. This is just the beginning. Again, if you guys are wanting to, if you feel like you want to invest more into it, we can get more jobs. Again, it's endless. We can have as many jobs as we want. It just requires more of an investment on you guys' standpoint. I don't want, unless you're comfortable with cash flowing more, I don't want this to be a burden. I want this to be something that makes sense. But again, if you feel like you want more, if you want 10, you want 15, you want 20, whatever it is, let's have a conversation. The more jobs, the more interviews you have. I just don't want this distracting each of you from the main thing. And the main thing is production. So let's keep the main thing, and have this be added value to what you're doing from leading from the front. So, any other questions? Then we're going to tag off and be done for the day.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good weekend. Good luck recruiting, and knock them out. We'll talk to you guys later.